I rented the cabin to get away from people. That was the whole point. It was late November, deep into the off-season, and the cabin sat at the edge of a forest in northern Montana. No neighbors, no cell service, just one dirt road that disappeared into trees for miles. The first night was quiet, too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your ears ring. Around midnight, I noticed the porch light had turned itself on. I told myself I must have forgotten to switch it off. I opened the door, stepped onto the wooden porch, and flipped the switch. Beyond the railing, the forest was completely black. No moon, no wind, nothing moved. When I went back inside, I locked the door. I'm certain I did. At 2:17 a.m., the porch light turned on again. This time I didn't get up. I stayed in bed staring at the faint glow leaking through the curtains, telling myself it was faulty wiring. Old cabins have quirks. That's what I kept repeating. The light turned off on its own around 3. The second night, I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, coming from the porch. They weren't pacing. They weren't wandering. They were just standing there. I lay frozen, listening to the boards creak softly under weight. Whoever or whatever it was didn't knock, didn't test the door. It simply stayed there. After several minutes, the steps retreated into the woods. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The third night was when I understood this wasn't random. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the porch light came on again. Immediately after that, 3 slow knocks hit the door. Not loud, not aggressive, polite, measured. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I stared at the handle, waiting for it to turn. It never did. Instead, a shadow passed across the window. Tall, unnaturally still. It remained there long enough for me to notice something was wrong. It wasn't facing the cabin. It was facing the woods, like it was watching something else. When morning came, I found footprints in the frost. Bare feet, large, perfectly still. All of them pointed toward the trees. There were no footprints leading away. I left that day, and I never went back. But sometimes late at night, when I wake suddenly for no reason, I swear I can still see the porch light glowing in my mind, waiting for me to answer. Driving at night in winter changes everything. Roads feel longer, the darkness presses closer, and every mile forward feels like a mistake you can't undo. I was driving through Wyoming, heading east, trying to reach the next town before the snow got worse. The radio faded in and out, dissolving into static, broken by distant voices that never quite formed words. Around 11:40 p.m., I noticed headlights behind me. They kept a perfect distance, never passing, never falling back. I assumed it was just another traveler. After about 10 minutes, the headlights vanished. No turnoff, no curve. They were just gone. 5 minutes later, they came back, closer this time. I sped up. They matched my speed. I slowed down. They stayed exactly where they were. That was when the fear set in. They weren't headlights. They were too low, too wide, and instead of reflecting light, they seemed to swallow it. My dashboard clock flickered. 12:12 a.m. After that, the road signs stopped making sense. Town names I didn't recognize. Mile markers counting backward. Numbers that shouldn't have been there. Then the lights were suddenly beside me, not attached to any vehicle, just floating alongside the road. I refused to look directly at them. Every instinct screamed that if I did, something terrible would happen. The temperature gauge dropped rapidly. Frost crept across the inside of my windshield, spreading like veins of ice. And then a voice, not from the radio, from the passenger seat. It whispered my name, perfectly, calmly, as if it had always known it. I slammed on the brakes. The car skidded, spun sideways, and everything went black. When I woke up, it was morning. My car was parked neatly on the shoulder of the road. The engine was off. The door was closed. There was no snow on the tires. The clock read 11:39 p.m. I drove the rest of the way in complete silence. No radio, no stops, no looking back. Weeks later, I searched through accident reports from that stretch of highway. At 12:12 a.m. that same night, a single car crash had been reported. The driver didn't survive. Same model car, same color, and the same name as mine.